Addressed the United Nations General Assembly. It was the first time a president of the country delivered a speech to the UN in nearly 50 years, and he pledged that reforms in Burma are irreversible. Well, our correspondent Barbara Plett is in the UN in New York, and she gave me further details about the Burmese president's speech.
Well, he called on the world to look at Burma with fresh eyes. He said, we've changed. The steps we've taken to democracy are irreversible. The authoritarian government is a thing of the past, although he did say that this transformation was a delicate and complex affair, so it would need patience. He also mentioned the armed conflict with ethnic minorities. He said it was a high priority to solve them, as well as the communal violence in the west of the country. And then he also paid tribute to Aung San Suu Kyi, who's currently in the United States on a visit, and he congratulated her for receiving an award that recognizes the very activities that the Burmese military government kept her under house arrest for years.
As a Myanmar citizen, I would like to congratulate her on the honors she has received in this country in recognition of her efforts on behalf of democracy. The political progress in our country is enhancing its political legitimacy. This, in turn, facilitates the creation of basic political stability, thereby paving the way for the economic and social transformation necessary for better living standards of the people.
So public praise there for Aung San Suu Kyi. But Barbara, is there concern, though, that her visit might overshadow his trip to the US?
Well, I think that her visit has overshadowed his trip to the U.S. She has almost rock star status here. She's a real celebrity, and both sides of Congress, the Republicans and Democrats, really revere her, and she's received an extraordinary reception. She's actually had a visit with President Obama. I don't think the Burmese president could ever get that kind of reception. He wasn't even invited to Washington. But the Americans have worked hard to try to give him some recognition as well. The Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, did announce after her meeting with him this week that she was going to, or that America was going to be further easing its sanctions. It's going to lift the import ban on Burmese goods. And I think perhaps the president recognizes that Aung San Suu Kyi, he actually benefits from her visit here because she had said that the sanctions should be lifted, and that also helped with that decision. So I don't think there's been any hard feelings, and they did make a point of not actually overlapping and meeting each other.
Now, Barbara, he may not be getting that kind of reception in the US, but back home in Burma, his speech was broadcast live on state television. How significant is that?
Well, I think it's the first time it's ever happened, so that's very significant. And it's just an example, I think, here at the United Nations of what a rare event this is. This UN meeting here this week has been full of bad news, full of conflicts that can't be solved, full of people wringing their hands and talking about what they hoped could happen. And then you have this example of a military government that has turned things around in a very short time. People here, I think, haven't quite got their heads around how or why this happened, but they do see it as an example of some rare good news.
Barbara Plett at the UN in New York, speaking to Sharanjit a little bit earlier. You are watching Newsday on the BBC, live from Singapore and London. Still to come on the programme.